And right now, we are AT&T. I'm partying with Cowboys Nation.
What is up? We are here live in the Cowboys Cave. It's your boy Mike Tag, and of course my sidekick Jimmy D. We're going to be talking a little bit of Super Bowl, but before we get in too deep, we want to make sure you guys like, subscribe, share, get the word out, leave a comment, give us feedback, good or bad. We'd love to hear it all. But we got a good show. We're going to focus a lot on the Super Bowl, and then we're also going to hit on some other topics. So should be a lot of fun. My man Jimmy D, you're geared up in the Falcons. You know, you're already ready for 2022. How you feeling?
I'm ready for next year, but Mike Tag, I got to tell you something. This morning, I woke up in pain. Went out. Doc says, Jimmy D, I got to put you under the knife right now. I said, now? Yeah, right now. I said, all right, Doc. Hey, pal, let's do it. So he turned the juice up, knocked me out. Then I wake up with a bush light in my hand, ready to go. Then I'm driving home, the phone rings, and it's the hype man, the greatest hype man in the world, on the other line. It's Mike Tag saying, Jimmy D, what's wrong? You going to be able to go tonight? I said, you know what? Let me tell you something. We never let our fans down. Our public expects the best out of us, and we're always going to give it to them. So I said, fire up those cameras, turn on the lights. It's showtime, baby. Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the fire. We need to see the dedication. You look like a chipmunk. You must have had some surgery in the mouth because you're grinding your teeth.
Little oral surgery, you know. On Valentine's Day, you expect a little different oral something, but we won't talk about that right now.
Well, hopefully that doesn't interfere. Hopefully it doesn't interfere. But I appreciate you know, fighting it out. And that's what we're all about. We tough it out. It's not like, you know, some of these athletes now, they get a hangnail, they get this, they want to go on a 6-week IR.
No.
We're here to compete. We're here to bring enjoyment to the fans, right?
We don't go on IR. We're here for you.
That's right. That's right. So you got the Falcons gear on. I got the Cowboys. This is a bittersweet day. So we're doing this show on Monday. We're going to drop it live. And because it's just too much to get to. And with the NFL ending, it's what do you do? You know, what do you do now without football? I know you have some other sports, but
absolutely.
How do you pass the time on those Sundays? What do you have any usual tricks or things? Like I do my man cave. Like now that the season is over, I redo the cave. I kind of change things up, kind of get that mojo, hopefully for another season. I've only been doing this 26 years and it hadn't worked, but hopefully the 27th it will. I don't know if you saw, I did a giveaway on Twitter over the weekend because I had all those white towels that they give away at a lot of the games. I had stacks of them. So I cleaned those up, even gave out an autograph copy. That was a great little gift had to go to an Eagles fan and one of my buddies, a Cowboys fan. They got a podcast that's really good, Birds vs. Boys. Make sure if you're not checking it out, you check them out. They're good dudes. But that's what I've done. So I'm kind of getting ready into the reconstruction of the cave process. What do you do?
Well, what I do is you got basketball and hockey on Sundays. Typically the Rangers have a game on Sundays, so I'll watch that. Then once you get into baseball season, I'll turn the Yankees on because they usually have a 1 o'clock game. I sleep through half of it. You know, I love the Yankees, but baseball is long and boring. So I usually doze in and out, sleep on that. And, you know, mainly I'll watch sports. Or maybe, the kids still have some games. I'll go watch my kids' games and stuff. But, relax.
Well, the one thing you don't do is put anything on the wall. So we got to fix that.
I've been working on this a long time, bro.
Life up there.
I've been working on this a long time. So, what we're going to do is one of these days I'm actually going to take some Polaroids in the other room with some of my merch out there that's hanging on the wall, and we'll put it on the show.
We got to make sure you step up. And then also, before we get started in the Super Bowl, I just wanted to share a special announcement to all the listeners, and especially to you. I think you're going to be pretty excited. I secured a special guest that's going to come on weekly in the NFL season next week to give his expert picks, and he's also going to do a lock of the week.
Really?
You have any idea who that might be?
No, this is an exclusive, even for me.
This is an exclusive. So at the Super Bowl yesterday at my brother's house, that gentleman was there, and we secured a contract. We went through hard negotiations of maybe a 6-pack or a 12-pack every week to come in and give his expert opinion, but it's no other than Papa Tag.
Oh,
so Papa Tag. We got the family, you don't know. The Tag family started in bookmaking and running numbers back in the day in New York. So he's going to come in. He's going to break down a few games, give the listeners an opportunity to win some money. All these degenerates to get out there, try and win that money that they lost last year. Now we're going to give the opportunity to win and be somebody. He's only asking for 5%.
Hey, that's good.
About that.
No, I'd up it to 7, but hey, it's okay.
We'll
give the man a bottle of Chianti, all right?
Well, I said it starts out with Schlitz or Old Milwaukee
Right.
until we see the results, and then maybe we'll bump them up to a Miller Lite.
Before you know, you'll be at one of those IPAs that are $15 a 6-pack.
Yeah, we'll get a craft one. Maybe we'll do that. But no. So I'm excited. I know you've known him a long time too. So he's going to bring a lot of expertise, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I definitely, you guys, like I said, I can't say it enough. Like, share, subscribe, put the alerts on. We're going to continue this train all the way through the off season. We're going to be touching on other sports. We're going to be getting into the draft. We're not draft experts, I'll be the first to say, but we'll give you our opinions. We know the big guys. We know what our teams need to do, so we're going to cover that extensively. And then maybe we're going to tiptoe into some college football because, the U is back. I said it probably for the 4th time, but I think this time it's for real. And I secured my season tickets for next season, so we're looking forward to getting that thing started and getting that place rocking, and hopefully bring the U back to some respectability with that new coach. We had a great recruiting class, so I'm pumped up about that.
And as you know, college is not my area of expertise. So
no.
Yeah, I'll have to.
You're Syracuse.
Do a little research. Syracuse. Actually, the big team around here is Rutgers would be the closest one for football.
Yeah. But hey, I've got some good stories of you and I down at the OB, the old days. So we'll when we get into college football, we'll talk a little bit about that too. So let's jump into the Super Bowl, though. You ready for that?
Well, real quickly, speaking of family, your brother Danny's running his mouth. You tell that punk he's the runt of the litter and to keep his mouth shut. I'll slap the taste out of his mouth when I come down there.
Them shitty-ass Broncos. But he'll say, our Broncos beat your Cowboys. All right, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But we got a future you guys don't. We'll leave it at that. But no, getting into the Super Bowl, we talked about it. We didn't know what the hype would be like. I got to say, I think it was low-key. I didn't get didn't see a lot of stuff on NFL Network as you're changing out. Look how you change out your gauze pad.
Right.
So I want to make sure you're straight. Make sure you're ready.
I'm good.
But I think the game kind of went how you and I thought. I know you picked the Bengals. I picked the Rams, but I said, I really wanted the Bengals to win. But it was one of those games. It was a dogfight early on. It was close the whole way through. The second half, the Bengals looked like they were going to get it, and then the Rams obviously came through. So let's just break it down. What were your initial thoughts, your takeaways from the game? Anything surprise you? Anything that you expected?
And it's funny because I'm not even going to get into the actual – I'm going to get more into the refs. They didn't call anything all game, and there was plenty to be called, right? Mm-hmm. And then down the last drive, you're going to throw 3 flags? Yeah. I mean, I get it. There were 2 of them were legit calls, right? But you didn't throw anything all game. You had face smash, you had blatant holding, and you're going to wait till the final drive?
That was the disappointing part. And really the 2 that you're talking about, I think if what you're talking about were after the questionable one, which was the linebacker, I think 55, when he broke up the pass, and then they called him for holding.
Yeah.
It was 3rd down, 3rd and goal. So they don't throw that flag. Now you're looking at 4th. Now you want to talk about drama. It would have been 1 play, end zone or not, unless obviously they got a penalty. But when they did that, it basically gave the Rams a fresh set of downs. Then it was the next play. It was another penalty. And then the next play, it was another penalty. And I think it might have been legit. Obviously, I think the other two were legit. The first one was questionable. It took away from, like you said, the game. It kind of just slowed it down, and then it just gave the haters or it gave the other fans a reason to say, here goes. Here's the NFL again with the refs. And believe me, as being a Cowboy fan, I lived it, right or wrong. We lived it all year with the refs. It just seemed like we could never get anything right with the refs. So it just kind of it took a little bit away from the game. I'll admit that.
It did. And, I hate to start with that, but that's how it ended. Well, second to last drive, that's how it ended. You know what I mean? So,
no.
I mean, obviously there's a lot of other stuff to talk about.
Well, let's just take it from the beginning. We're going to start with the first quarter, just anything that sticks out. And the one thing that stuck out to me, first drive, Bengals get the ball. They got a 4th and 1. They're on their own side of the field, and they go for it.
Ballsy move, man.
And they don't make it.
Right.
And what happens? The Rams go down and they score touchdown, right off the bat.
With ease.
And so you like the aggressiveness, but you know how it is. And in these big games, when you're in these playoffs and Super Bowls, it's kind of like that boxing match. The first couple, you're feeling each other out, right? The first round is kind of rope-a-dope, and you're hitting some jabs, and you're seeing what kind of the guy counterpunches. And I think for the Bengals, that was a gutsy move. It backfired. It could have been really bad for them. They kind of overcame it, but I just thought that was one decision that you got to question if you're a Bengals fan.
Yeah, I think again it was a ballsy move, but at that stage of the game, that early, I'm punting the ball. I mean, I don't see any reason to go for it. Like you said, in your own side of the field, that was a stupid call. And again, the Rams went down with ease and scored. And then I'm like, damn, this. At that point, I said this game's over. I was convinced at that point the game was over.
No, I agree. And I give the Bengals credit for coming back. And probably the other thing we'll touch on in the first part of the game, a couple of things that we had talked about last week. One surprise, well, actually both of them kind of surprised me, is they went after Ramsey and they got him. I mean, Chase got him for a big play, and they had a couple big catches against him. I thought, Burrow was going to shy away from him, but I mean, they went after him.
Yeah, they did.
They didn't pay a price. Which I was surprised.
I tell you, it's funny. I think that, in my opinion, Stafford Burrow's had a better game than Stafford, in my opinion. I mean, Stafford. Okay, one of the picks was a bobble, but the other one was just a bad throw.
Bad decision.
Yeah,
just a bad decision. No, I agree. I think I thought Burrow played well. I think what happened, like when in the first half, something that surprised me was the protection. He didn't get sacked. He didn't get hit.
Yeah.
He was able to, set his feet. And then, when you got to the second half, then the defensive line kind of did what you and I said was going to happen last week. What we thought would happen all game was they were just going to overpower the Bengals offensive line and just absolutely annihilate Burrow.
The Rams went in and made adjustments like they did in the 49ers game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Made adjustments, and I mean, what was it, 7 sacks?
7 sacks, and pretty much all of them, I think 6 or all of them were in the second half, maybe 6 of them, I can't remember. But it came down to what we talked about, and I'll always bring up the Cowboys, and we'll get into that afterwards because a lot of their guys have annihilated. A lot of the former Cowboys had a lot to say about this Cowboys team this past season, but your superstars got to step up. And I think if you look at this game, on both sides, the superstars stepped up. I mean, Burrow had a good game. Chase had a good game. Mixon, he ran the ball well. I don't think he got enough carries. I took some notes down. I think he got, 15 carries, 72 yards.
Yeah.
I was surprised. My son had texted me at the end of the game, where was Mixon? How come he wasn't in the game on that third down and then that fourth down? Because he was grinding them out. He was wearing them down.
Well, not for nothing. I just questioned the whole fourth down call at the end of the game. What are you in a shotgun for? I mean, it's, a long one. It was 3rd or 4th and 1, a long one. When I seen him line up in a shotgun, I said, "This is over."
Yeah.
I saw nothing good coming out of that.
And especially the way they were attacking him. You knew it had to be a quick play,
right?
And you can't hold the ball. and you held the ball.
Aaron Donald, man, came in.
No, you know what? 2 sacks.
Boom.
Now they're talking about him maybe retiring. I think that's just talk. I don't think he's gonna
Bring me the title now.
But
he was barely touched.
Oh yeah, no. Well, he was off balance, and I just think he panicked because it was the end, and then he just kind of flew, tried to throw a prayer to make something happen. But I mean, and Von Miller, you look at the guys who stepped up. Von Miller, obviously he had 2 sacks. Stafford didn't have a great game, and we'll get into him a little bit more. But he didn't have a bad game. He had a couple picks, but when they needed him on that last drive, he went through. But really the guy, Cooper Kupp just absolutely, he dominated, especially on that last drive.
I mean, what's funny? I think that okay, so let's take a step back. Stafford misses a wide open receiver in the back of the end zone, right?
Yeah.
Just before that penalty on 3rd down. Cooper Kupp is the one who drew 2 of the 3 penalties at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just that he had some big plays and had a couple touchdowns. He drew the penalties that gave them the life again. Yeah,
and I mean he had to step up with we didn't touch on it, but Odell Beckham going down. I mean, just non-contact injury.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to say, as a Cowboys fan, I am not a fan of Odell Beckham. Never was. But I'll say you don't want to see that. I think he kind of was redeeming himself a little bit when he went to the Rams. He got humbled in Cleveland. He got cut, and no one claimed him and this and that.
Yeah.
And then he went to the Rams, and I thought he was kind of reinventing himself and kind of getting things going. And he had some big games, and he actually, he had a touchdown, early, and it was a bummer to see. You don't like to see guys get hurt like that, especially non-contact injury. You fear it's going to be the worst, and hopefully he gets better. But that kind of bummed me out in that game.
And it's so I was with mostly Giants fans last night, and also a 49ers fan and a Bills fan. So all the Giants fans are like, typical ODB. I'm like, he planted. I mean, what do you could see that was an injury, So they're carrying on chirping about him, and that's tough, Yeah. I mean, they end up winning, and that's great. But how different is the game if he stays in?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I mean, if you look at it, their offense stalled after that. I mean, they didn't do anything until that last drive, pretty much. I mean, they did not do anything. And the thing I was surprised about was how good the Bengals' run defense was. Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of Bengals games. I watched them, obviously the playoff ones, but I don't recall their run defense. Now I know the Rams don't have the best running game, but their front was, I mean, they were all over the place, and they were attacking. And I thought they kept them in the game, because their secondary, the Bengals secondary is not their corners aren't the strongest. They got Cheeto, which former Cowboy, I always was rooting for him, but they're not the strongest. But their front was they were pretty stout against the run. I was surprised.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it got to a point where from the middle of the second quarter to the third quarter, I was falling asleep a little bit.
Oh, it was boring. No, it was not a exciting game. It didn't live up to what you hope. It was a close game, so it fit the narrative of all the playoff games that we've had in 2022, and it came down to the end. And again, looking back to the last drive that the Bengals had, the thing that kept running through my mind is get in field goal range first.
Yes.
So they had they had that 17, I think it was a 17-yard pass. They got that going. Then they throw, I think they had an incompletion, and then they threw a bomb, which there was no one there. That was basically a wasted play. And then you get down to, or no, they had it second. It was 3rd and 1. So they must have got some yards and threw some. I can't remember. I was drinking a little bit, so I don't have everything in my head, but it just seemed like they wasted plays. And then they get the 3rd and 1, which you're going to go for it on 4th. Instead of doing, I think they just should have been chipping away more, just fast paced, get in the field goal range, then take some shots and try and win the game instead of playing for overtime. But I think you got to get there first. and they just didn't seem to have good rhythm and a good plan on that last drive. It just did not look in sync to me.
No, well, the first couple plays they did, then all of a sudden, like you said, it was almost like a Cowboys situation where you said the rhythm just stopped. Like you said, it was, I don't know if it was a blown route or what it was, but Burrow throws it to nobody. Nobody within 10 yards of the ball. And then again, what are you doing shotgun, 4th and 1? I'm still scratching my head at that. That's boom, boom. If you're gonna go shotgun, it's gotta be boom, boom. And he was dropping. That was a 5-step drop.
Yeah, no, he didn't. It was questionable calling. So let's get a little bit. So we touch on the game. We kind of gave our feelings on it, but I think what everyone was hoping for. You got one more thing?
Yeah, one more thing. You know what? What's being overlooked is Higgins on the Bengals 2 touchdowns and 100 yards.
Well, what was overlooked is I had played the Fox thing and you pick, and I had Higgins and Odell Beckham and the combined catches, and I thought I would have hit it, but then Odell went out. But Higgins, I figured Higgins could have a better game if Ramsey was going to be on Chase a lot, but Higgins he's a solid number 2. I mean, he came to play, and we even they didn't get a chance to play because Higbee was hurt, and there was another guy in the Rams, but we had a couple guys from our couple kids who played football in our local high schools that were on the Rams that, ended up getting some rings. Yeah. Didn't even play. Played as much as us, and they get a ring. I like it.
Hey, go to the pawn shop and sell it. Make a few bucks.
I'm telling you. But probably the hypest thing, what everyone was talking about before the matchup, you're going to LA, it was announced, months ago, is the halftime show. Now, we're 90s kids. Oh, here we go. You're going to get me started because we're the 90s generation. I don't listen to hip hop today. I don't like the rap music today, but I still jam Miami bass. I got the Miami bass app on my phone. If you guys don't have it on TuneIn or on Apple Music, make sure you get that, man. I'm still, I still got the woofers in the cab, so I like that music. So I was excited, and I was looking forward to it. I know there was a lot of buzz on it. I don't know if I should get your reaction first or if I should give you my 2 cents on it, but
you know what? I of course I love 90s hip hop, late 80s, 90s. I'm first of all not a big fan of Snoop Dogg, and I think Eazy-E was right all along about Snoop Dogg. And hey, Dom, pull up Eazy-E's thoughts on Snoop Dogg.
What are we doing now?
You see?
Oh, man. What is that? Dre Day.
Spot on. Anyway, but no, you know what? It's just Ice Cube. I heard people talking about Ice Cube showing up. He's too mainstream. He wasn't showing up for that. 50 Cent. Thank God he came out and salvaged that halftime show.
Oh, man. Well, all right. Let's just break it down. We're going to break it down. Artist by artist, we're going to break it down. So, Dre and Snoop, they were fire. They were perfect. I loved it. Everything they did was perfect. You're an idiot. You don't know Jack. No. So I'll give that. Kendrick Lamar, I have no idea. I don't know his music. I could have used that time. I would have had more with Dre and Snoop. And then you had, Mary J. Blige. I like her. I like the first part when she got into the slow. I mean, you don't need that. We need some
hype.
We need, I want to get some stuff bounced. I want to get going. I would have got rid of that. Surprisingly, what I'll say is, now you're talking to the guy that I went to the Up in Smoke tour when they were in Miami. So I saw Dre, Snoop, Cube, Eminem, the whole crew, MC Ren, all of that. I was disappointed in Eminem. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe that Dre or Snoop lip sync. I don't believe 50 Cent did. I don't think Mary J. Blige did. Eminem obviously did. It was terrible lip sync job. Awful. It was so obvious. And he's really, he was a badass, in our day,
No,
listening to his music. So
has been.
I would have got rid of him, and I would have added more Dre. And what I really wanted, I tweeted that I wanted to see Ice Cube and MC Ren coming out. I think that would have been great to get the NW.
I would have been down with that.
Get NWA back.
MC Ren would have come out, but I think Ice Cube, he might be a little too mainstream right now. I don't think he would have done it.
He was just he just did a rap show at, they said it was some Speedway.
Really?
I mean, if you look at Cube, he still makes music. His music is the same music that you and I remember. It's not kids rap. Now he has his main, he does the movies and he has his character, this and that. But when he's rapping, he's still the Ice Cube that you and I, he may not be as hard as when we grew up, but he's still out there. So I thought that would have been, man, I was like praying for it, but it didn't happen.
And I get the theme. I mean, you're in LA, so you got, the West Coast, Funny, Mary J. Blige, she's local. She's from Yonkers. She's from just north of the city. So she's a New Yorker.
Now, what I will say about her, she's got to be late 40s, 50. I don't know. I mean, she's been around a long time. She still looks phenomenal.
Yeah, she does. God bless her.
I mean, I give her props for that. And she's got the pipes. I just was thinking with the theme that they had going, it would have been, man, all, nothing but a G thing should have been going on. And then when they did the California Love, I thought they'd do something with Tupac. Some people said maybe they'll get the
hologram or something.
Hologram, get something like that going. I thought they could have done, it was on one of the songs, Forgot About Dre, if they would have played it longer. He played homage to like Eazy-E and some of the old artists. So it would have been cool to see some of that. But you can only do so much. That's what I say. You only have so much time. And when you got 4 or 5 artists out there, there's only so much to go around.
You should have not had Detroit representing and not having New York representing. Installed, MC Ren would have been great.
Oh, he's still one of the best. I'm telling you, he gets the least credit on NWA, but he was one of the smoothest rappers.
No, who gets the least credit is the Arabian Prince.
Who's the Arabian Prince?
He's a founding member of the NWA, man.
Who's that?
He was in the NWA, Arabian Prince.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Was he in the movie? I must have missed that.
You know what? I don't know if he was in the movie. It's good, but he was a founding member.
Wow. See, I didn't know that. I know DJ Yella.
Yeah, DJ Yella. No,
yeah,
Arabian Prince.
So. But it brought back good memory. I thought it was cool. I mean, I love seeing, some of the halftime shows have been pretty bad the last few years. I wouldn't rank this one as the greatest. I thought it was good. I wanted a little bit more. I still think if you look at Prince and you look at some of the older, some of the other ones that they had back in the day, that they brought a lot of energy. But again, halftime shows, there's only so much you can do. But I don't know if you mentioned it to me or my brother, but imagine you paid what, 10 large for these tickets, and then they have the halftime show and you're on the other side and all you see is a wall.
If you're looking at the Jumbotron.
Yeah, you missed the whole show. So
I'd be upstairs loading up on beer before they sell out for the end of the quarter.
Yeah. So football's over. It's done. Super Bowl is in the books, and now you got to have that for all the other 31 teams, and you and our teams are on that list. Unfortunately, you're not rejoicing. You're already thinking of 2022.
Yeah.
So a little bit of, I don't know if the Falcons, you can educate me a little bit more on what the Falcons do with their front office or how they market and stuff. So it got a lot of attention. The Super Bowl ends shortly after. The Cowboys put out their 2022 hype video, and it's basically looking back at the playoff, the loss, and trying to build, get that momentum going. I thought obviously it's well edited, it's well done. The timing of it, I think, is what's got Cowboy Nation, up and roar, because we still, when you watch that Super Bowl and you see the Rams and you see the Bengals. I was at a customer today, and he's an Eagles fan. And we were talking, and he even said, he goes, I'm an Eagles fan. He said, if I was a Cowboys fan, I'd be so pissed because I'm looking at those two teams and we were better than them, but we didn't show up when it mattered. So that taste, that Super Bowl put salt on the wound. And then this video comes out, which makes it even a little stronger. So I don't know about the timing. Do the Falcons do anything like that? Or what's your thought of a team?
No. I mean, first of all, it was bad timing, right? So, and I've seen a lot of Cowboys fans, complaining about that. But I like the Jerry Jones, I'm a Yankees fan and Steinbrenner. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'm okay with being out there and being in front of things and wanting to be in the spotlight. And this is my team. I'm proud of them, right? But, yeah that video coming out was bad timing, man. It got lost. If you're not a Cowboys fan or you don't have some sort of a vested interest like I do doing the show, that got lost, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's pouring salt on open wound. The Falcons aren't putting out anything quite like that, but if they did, I wouldn't have wanted to have been last night.
No. And it goes to Jerry. We talked about it. I love him as an owner. I think he gets a lot of heat. I think a lot of it's rightfully deserved. I think that if there's a mistake that he makes, it's the culture. He's too much out there, and I don't want to say too involved, but you're the GM. And I'll say it, as a GM, of course, would he have been a GM 26 years? No. He would have been fired if there was any other owner. But this Cowboys team has talent. And on paper, they're as talented as any other team. So I can't knock him for the talent, for the product on the field. Can't. Not right now, not this year. Now, maybe a few years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. But I think sometimes he's loyal to a fault. So I think you end up with some contracts that you might, wish you thought about twice, and you're going, when you look past a couple of years. And I think he's loyal to a fault with some of his inner circle. So Jason, Garrett was part of that. So you had 10 years of average. And I think if that was any other coach that was on the Cowboys, he would have been fired. So I think that's where he doesn't have that buffer in between, because the only buffer that you could have in between is his son. So that's really not much of a buffer. So that's where it just doesn't. I always have my problem with Jerry that way. As an owner, when it's a first-class organization, when you go to the stadium, everything's first class. It's an ultimate experience. I mean, you've been there. We went to games. I still don't know a stadium, and I've said it before, I don't know a stadium that is better. Now, I think the one in LA, the one in the Raiders in Las Vegas with the Raiders, we'll see how that rivals it. I think that's probably maybe aesthetically is more modern, so maybe it's going to be a step above. But when I'm talking about the whole package, when I get out there, then I'll know and see how it compares.
See, it's funny we're talking about buffers. The first thing that got my mind is Godfather 2. So you're saying there was a buffer between you and your superior, Willie Cheech? Yeah, that's right, Senator. There was a lot of buffers. Attorney shaking.
But we need a couple buffers.
Now, you know what? With the Falcons, what are we looking at? What's going on with Ridley? That's first and foremost. We need to shore up the offensive line. That is, as far as I'm concerned, the biggest need that we need to address. I want Patterson re-signed. We talked about that last week. Yeah. But Ridley's the key right now. And then what are they going to do with Grady Jarrett? He's got a lot of cap space. Are they going to cut him? He's got one more year on his contract. So what are they going to do? I guess we'll see what happens. But again, you can't wait forever for this. You got to deal with this stuff now. Look what you got in the draft. Get your mock draft boards going. Make your free agent moves sooner than later.
Well, look at the Rams. So they sacrificed a first-round pick in 2022. No first round this year. No first round next year. I don't think they have a 2 this year. They've sacrificed a lot of draft capital. But if you're a fan, and all these fans, and some, they never want to give up draft picks. That's, and it is. That's like gold because of the contracts, the youth, all that other stuff. But would you sacrifice that for a Super Bowl?
Yes. So
they made those moves to win now, not build it, not hope, not this. Win now, and they did it. So for me, as a Cowboys fan, if you could do that, if I could do the magic wand and say, hey, we're not going to have no first round picks for 3 years and and you might be in cap hell in 2 years, but I'm going to get you a Super Bowl ring next year. I take it 2 seconds. I wouldn't even think twice about it. And that's what these teams, they got to start thinking about. It's if you got an opportunity to win, you got to take advantage of it. And I give the Rams credit. They took advantage of it while other teams sat back. Cowboys sat back and they didn't make any moves. Kind of, hey, we like our guys. Nothing wrong with that. But when you had an opportunity to go out and make a splash or bring in a Von Miller or get a Odell Beckham, the Rams did it, and it paid off.
And you know what? The funny part is they got a horrible fan base, so they're catering to nothing. But you know what? They pleased their existing whatever fan base they do have, and it was the right move. Like you said, I would take that now. I don't care about next year. We got to wait till the next year or 2 years from now, rebuild and all this crap. Give it to me right now. Bring me the title now.
To quote the great Apollo Creed, there is no tomorrow.
Exactly.
You got to do it now. Yeah. So we got, it's going to be, it's what I hate about football. You got a long off season. So, you're going to get into some free agency, then we'll get into the draft and, eventually training camp, but it's a long off season. Thankfully, we got the USFL to keep us occupied.
Hey, man, Steve Young, Herschel Walker.
Hey, we got the Tampa Bay Bandits are back, right? You got the New Jersey Generals.
New Jersey Generals. Hey, the Jets and Giants both play in New Jersey, so what's the difference?
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But look at him again. Look at it. He's cut.
Oh, okay.
Gotta
play through the pain, baby.
You gotta play through the pain. So
but I tell you what, I'd never seen here in New York more Bengals merch than I did yesterday when I was out at the store. And the best part was, you can tell it was just delivered a couple days ago because it had the crease lines in it. It was just unfolded.
Still had the tags on the back.
Oh, tags on the back. People got flags flying on their cars. You can see again, the creases. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. There was one dude wearing a Rams toque, right? But beyond that, all these Bengals wannabe fans. I'm like, yep, they jumped off Tampa Bay and now they're on Cincinnati.
We had I've seen up our share. And we were at the store, and I'll give this guy credit because I think he has to be legit. He had the old Sam Weiss sweater.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? The one he always used to wear. He was wearing that, so I thought he got to be a fan. I mean, that's old. That's old school. That's an '80s sweater. He probably had it since then. But you saw a ton of them, and I think we even. I don't know if I touched on it with you, maybe on the last show or whatever, but I'll repeat it. If I did, I apologize. I was sitting there watching on the news. I think it came across Twitter. Detroit. Did you see up in Detroit what they did?
No.
They had Detroit Rams merchandise. They had the Detroit Lions blue, and it said Detroit Rams with the Rams logo for the guy that said he wanted to leave. He didn't want to be there no more. I don't get it. I don't get it. I tell you, it's what I say. I'm Dallas Cowboy. I'm, thick or thin, and it's been good or bad, and it's been bad for a long time. I'm a Cowboys fan, period. Cowboys fan first, and then I have my players. It's just like when Emmitt Smith, and I love Emmitt Smith, and when he left, and we played him, we're gonna break him. We're gonna bust him up. And that was my mindset. After the game, I love him. When he retires, he's always a Cowboy in my heart. But I would never, ever, if I'm in Detroit and I'm a Lions fan, I'm going to wear Detroit Rams merchandise and try and ride the coattails of the guy who left you, who wanted to leave, and he goes out and wins a Super Bowl, and you want to ride it. Forget that, man. That ain't happening.
I'm going to have to check it out because I didn't even see that. Hey,
no, then it must have been someone else I was talking to, but it's crazy.
Talk about Emmitt Smith. Remember the time I had the Emmitt Smith injury, but just a little bit worse?
A little bit worse.
Just a little bit worse, yeah.
I still get crap because Danny always says of Emmitt Smith faked injuries to get man, that guy, he was tough.
Told you before, tell Danny to shut his yap.
I know. He's jealous.
Yeah, he is. The best part about you and me and Danny, and several of our core group of friends is we could pull out merch from 25 years ago. dirty, and you could tell it's old, right? It's old school.
Yeah.
So no bandwagon fans around here.
No, we only have one.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Fish.
Well, he got Velcro where he pulls the patches off his hat and replaces different logos.
He says, "I'll wear any shirt if it costs $1. I don't care who's on it. I'll wear it."
As long as they had the right size on the rack.
Yeah, no, but I just love football, as you can see. It sucks. I even did I don't know if you saw on Twitter, I was doing some other giveaways, but I got my very first Cameo. I told you I had one in England, so I didn't tell you, but to the audience, I got my first, I guess they have a business one I do too, and I got my first business request to do a Cameo, kind of like a commercial or a spot, to hype them up. Yeah. So I'm gonna work on that. It made me think of the Rocky 2 when he was going to do Smell Manly, or whatever he said.
Hey, I'm trying my best out here, and this guy's yelling at me.
Oh, well, I'm taking no cheap shots. So, but no, it's going to be fun. And what about the Hall of Fame? Did we touch on that? I don't think we touched on that. The Hall of Fame.
I was more raising my eyebrows at the MVP situation.
So who do you think should have got it?
Cooper Kupp, man. I mean,
I
get it. Aaron Rodgers had stellar stats. Touchdown interception ratio was phenomenal, but Cooper Kupp was definitely the MVP. I can't say Rodgers was better or had a bigger impact on his team.
A quarterback's always going to have a bigger impact on their team, right? I mean, that's the hard thing, and I think that's what kills the running backs, and it's become a quarterback award. Because if you watch it, they give Offensive Player of the Year, they usually give to the running back and receiver. That's what it just seems like the trend is always now. And then they give the MVP, it's always the quarterback. So I don't know why they call it an MVP. They should just call it the quarterback award because it's always the quarterback. And because you say most valuable, who touches the ball the most? The quarterback's going to touch the ball the most. The argument that people were saying is, well, you got Brady or Rodgers, which one? And Rodgers puts up good great stats, good numbers, but when it comes to playoff time, he hasn't been able to produce. Yeah. But this is not it's a regular season award. It's not a full season and a playoff award.
Well, but I think too that so maybe you look at it like baseball. The pitcher, you have a Cy Young award. That you have different awards for different. So maybe you have, I don't know what you would name it. Whatever award. Dan Marino Award, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
That's your quarterback, and then your, MVP or whatever you would call it. You delineate the two.
Yeah, because you look at it. Who's important? I mean, you look at what Jonathan Taylor did with the Colts. I mean, he was basically their whole offense, running back, and you had Cooper Kupp. That dude was clutch. Any game I ever seen him, he was clutch always. Whenever they needed something, he's the one who came through. So to your point, when you're talking most valuable, and then you can even look on the defensive side and you look at some of these guys, TJ Watt, what he was able to do, but the team didn't have huge success. So I think just like in other sports, team success is important as well. The Colts didn't make the playoffs. The Steelers, they made it, right, but it didn't really do much. But so I think it ends up going into that. So I see it. But with the Hall of Fame, if we just think about it, is the guys who got in, and they're all from our era, So we're pretty familiar with all of them. You got Bryant Young, who played with the 49ers, in the 90s. I just never saw. I mean, I just didn't think he was a Hall of Fame. When I think back to the night, I just don't. Yeah. His name doesn't jump out to me.
Right. I agree. And being a Falcons fan, we had to play them twice a year. Yeah. Every year.
So you're familiar with, and then Seymour. I mean, he put up some good numbers. So I can't hate on that too much. But when I see that, DeMarcus Ware, and if you want to call me a homer, whatever it is. How does DeMarcus Ware not get in the Hall of Fame? It just blows my mind. The numbers he put up, the All Pros, the Pro Bowls, which I don't think, Pro Bowls are they're not much anymore because everyone backs out. So you got 50 million Pro Bowlers. So all pros I really look at. Look at his all pros. He won a Super Bowl, 138 or 50 or whatever it is sacks. I mean, the guy was an impact player. He was a game changer. He was dominant on every team. He was on the Cowboys. He finished with the Broncos. When the Cowboys said he was washed up, he was just as strong with the Broncos, kind of re-energize his career, and he goes to win a Super Bowl. And I don't know how he's not a first ballot,
He's finished. He's washed up. The baddest in the world. No, you know what?
Yeah.
See, now what you're doing is you're comparing, though, right? So you're comparing Taylor and Ware. Whether or not either one of them get in is another story. I agree, though. If you're comparing the two, Ware's numbers were better, right? He was more of an impact player, right? He stands out more to me from that era. But I don't know if either one of them get in.
You're saying you don't think DeMarcus Ware is a Hall of Famer?
He's more deserving than Taylor, but I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer.
Bryant Young. Did I say Taylor was Bryant Young? Did you mess up?
Bryant Young?
Yeah. But DeMarcus Ware was to me, one, he was all decade. So he's an all decade player. He had double-digit sacks. I don't know how many years. He was multiple, more than 3 or 4 All Pros, which is basically the best player at your position in the NFL, not in the AFC, NFC. You're talking about the best player at your position in the NFL. I don't know. Maybe you didn't see enough of his games. I mean, he was an impact player for a number of years. So I'll turn it to you. We can agree to disagree. I think you're still on drugs, so you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Here comes the homer.
Let's talk about. We'll talk about a guy who's near and dear to my heart, even though he didn't play with the Cowboys, and that's the man from the U, Devin Hester. So that's an interesting one. He didn't get in. Yeah. Do you consider him a Hall of Famer?
Yeah. I mean, he was a playmaker.
I mean, you're talking about the greatest
playmaker
return specialist in NFL history.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree. He's a playmaker.
Yeah. I mean, he changed special teams. He changed the way, teams will kick. He changed the way that they line up. He changed everything about it. And he was an impact. There's not, when I think of that, I think of him over anyone else. And I know some people go back with Mel Gray, Eric Metcalf had some years, Brian Mitchell had some years, but Devin Hester was, it's almost like, just like a punter. You think of the greatest punter, you think of, Ray Guy, all right, well, that Hall of Fame, you think of the kickers, Vinatieri and Morton Anderson and some of these other guys. But Devin Hester, you can argue some of the other ones. You can't argue who is the best return man in NFL history. It's Devin Hester, and that's it.
Yeah. And, it's funny, though. We get back to what do we always say? It's all posturing.
It is.
Yeah, it's all posturing.
Well, it makes me think that is the NFL trying to change, the whole first ballot Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
Are they trying to make it more elite because it typically goes away? Usually if you're a Hall of Fame player, Aikman was going to get in on first ballot. Steve Young's going to get on first ballot. These other guys, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, they're going to be first ballot. Maybe they're trying to make that more a prestigious thing. And maybe your guys that aren't that level that they feel they're gonna make them a second year or whatever. But to me, if you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer. Whether you're the first year or you're the 20th year, I think it's disgraceful sometimes how they drag it out. You look at Cliff Branch, Hall of Fame player on the Raiders, hands down. He finally gets in, and he's not alive to enjoy it.
Yeah, and like you said, it's the whole first ballot prestige, right? That's what it is. Yeah. And I think you're right, and that's a great point. If you know somebody's got the credentials, what are you waiting 5 or 10 years for? It's stupid, right?
It pisses me off about baseball all the time. They try and do that crap.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
where's Pete Rose?
Yeah, Pete Rose, Barry. I mean, we can have Barry Bonds.
Yeah,
Mark McGwire, Roger Clemens.
Yes, and I think that's
you're going to put David Ortiz in, right?
Yes, yeah. And this is something I think that we talk about next week or the week after. This is something we should talk about because we didn't touch on it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, we'll get in it. We'll definitely get into more of that conversation, because I think the whole process, and you got these writers, and it's the same thing with the NFL. You got these writers, and they're giving them all the power, over these players and what they've done and worked their life off for it, and to put a career together and to get recognized. That's, aside from a Super Bowl, World Series, whatever you want to call it, championship, being a Hall of Fame player, that's the ultimate individual accomplishment, to cap off your career. And I just think that some of these guys, they're not being cool with it. I mean, I look at what they did to Drew Pearson for all those years, and it just string it along. And now all of a sudden he's a Hall of Famer. Well, what changed?
Yeah, right.
What changed? Nothing changed. You just waited, and you tortured, and you just kind of continue to drag out the process. I think it's disgraceful.
And a lot of it's subjective. And then you get something 10, 15 years later, and you got writers who may not even remember. Like you said, we remember some of these names that we're talking about. You name somebody from the early 70s who has nothing to do with my team or your team. Who's that? You might know the name, but it doesn't resonate. So
you don't know the impact that they had.
Right. Yeah.
No. So what else you got going on?
That's it, man.
Coming down off the meds?
Yeah, I might be able to actually drink something here in a minute. I was thinking about taking a drink like I always do, but I don't want to be slobbering all over the place.
Oh, what a slob. You're going to be a slob to the audience? You're going to look like you're got no class?
This is a professional broadcast, right?
We got standards. Now, speaking of, I'm going to touch on one last thing on the Super Bowl, which kind of irked me a little bit. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan of The Rock. I'm a fan of him.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed. I was a little disappointed in the performance. It just didn't. I didn't get that feel, and he didn't do his end line. It's kind of disappointing, and I'd never compare myself to The Rock, but I believe that given the opportunity, especially if the Cowboys are in it, I would have delivered a much better performance.
Yeah, it wasn't like his normal shtick. You didn't feel it, right?
It seemed hokey. Like, it just seemed like, I don't know. I was waiting for him to, like, jabroni, and say some stuff and smell what The Rock's cooking and maybe get on some of these, candy asses and all that, but he didn't do it.
He should have said, I haven't seen a bigger compilation of trailer park trash ever, except in this stadium. I love when he used to rip on people like that.
Oh, he was probably one of the best, on the mic. I mean, obviously you got Ric Flair, who we love, and Hollywood when Hogan was Hollywood Hogan. We'll take that one.
Booker
and then
T.
Booker T obviously is one of my favorites. You get a lot of these guys. I mean, but The Rock, man, he was electric on that mic.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Last night, the word hokey, what you use, sounds about right. Hey,
it just looked cheesy the way the whole, it just didn't. You didn't get that feel. It didn't get that feel.
Maybe he had a script.
Oh, I'm sure, and I'm sure there was things that he could say, couldn't say. I mean, you never know. I just wish the NFL they got to get the Super Bowl, man. They got to cut out all that. We get 15 different songs and all of this and that. I mean, get to the game. And the other thing I'll say, last night in the Super Bowl, and I hate it. And Tom Brady was the one who started this crap with the Patriots. I want the introductions of each player. I want the offense on one and defense on the other, like they used to do it, so they can come out. I mean, that I can't stand what they do now. It sucks. Oh, we're one team. Man, this is your moment. Right. This is a team game, and but it's your one moment, man. And put it,
name and
that's electric to me.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
You want to be recognized. You
Yes.
might be a team, but you know what? Those guys work their asses to get to where they are, right?
Oh, it was awesome when you saw Michael Irvin coming out or Ray Lewis coming out, all these guys. And then it was the year, the Patriots first in it. And I know it was the whole, it was the whole 9/11 and everything that was going on. It was one team. And then they just went away from it. So that's my last pet peeve that I'll hit you with on the Super Bowl. So,
I said, we'll be covering the draft. We'll be covering free agency. And we'll be, again, we've said it probably 4 or 5 times. We're going to be taking calls at some point soon. It's got a couple of things to work out. And
just to be transparent with the audience, the only thing stopping us from taking calls is we haven't been able to figure out, because, Jimmy D's in New York and I'm in Florida. How do we get the audio to where I can hear it? Because he can hear it, but I can't because I'm on another line. So if any of our viewers and followers and subscribers, if you guys know, hit me up with a DM or put a comment in and we'll give you a holler, because that's really the last thing. We want to take calls,
right.
But right now I've got to do so much stuff with my phone and got to shut this off and this and that. We tried it once early on. I think you saw it didn't come off as clean as we want. And for us, we want to have the best show. We want to have a fun show. We want to be interactive, but we want the quality to be good.
Right. We want you callers, you viewers, to challenge us.
Oh, absolutely.
Call us out. And then
I reject that challenge.
Yeah, right.
They are no challenge. No.
We're going to put them in their place.
But we're going to do that, and we're going to get on the live. So we're actually taking this, the offseason NFL to touch on and tighten everything up. And when the NFL gets going, we're going to be ready in full swing. Your boy's going to be out at AT&T. We're going to see if we can drag old Jimmy D out to maybe one of the games. We got a whole crew going to the Bears game, so that might be a good one to make a road trip if you can get the permission slip signed from the missus.
You know what? When is that?
We don't know.
That's right. They
ain't come out. We got to wait.
You know what I'm looking for?
Yeah, we got to wait.
I'm looking forward to our handicapper next year coming out every week.
Oh, yes.
That's going to be great.
You guys, I'm telling you, you make sure this man is a genius. He knows what he's doing. He's been in the business for over 50 years, knows his stuff. It's been handed down from generation to generation. So it's passed down from his father and his uncles that handled stuff up in Port Chester, New York. They ran it. So you guys are going to be in for a real treat. And the beauty of it is no money up front. We just ask if you win a little bit, maybe you show the old man some love and send him down a care package of some Miller Lights or something like that. Help the man out.
You send him a nice prize.
Yes. So,
all right.
Anyway, anything else you got? Or are we wrapping it up?
No, we're wrapping it up, man.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, and we appreciate it. Jimmy D's gonna get healthy. We'll be back next week, but we wanted to drop this a little bit early because, again, the Super Bowl. So we did that little extra special show to break that down. But again, like, subscribe, share, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. The haters calmed down. I guess they finally they're done with me now that they've moved on. So we'll see if we could stir them up again next year. But again, we appreciate it. Everything. Have a great evening. Have a great week. Have a good morning whenever you decide to watch it. Good afternoon, all that good stuff. We appreciate it. Take care, man. We'll see you. Now, can you dig it?